Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, the best growth mindset podcast, recognized by Million Podcasts and ranked as a top mindset podcast by FeedSpot. We're proud to be in the top 1% on Listen Notes. Join Dr. Alisa Whyte as we explore powerful insights and strategies to elevate your mindset. Let's dive in.
Hello, disruptors, and welcome back to Mindset Mastery Moments with me, your host, Dr. Alisa Whyte. And today I have a co-host who is no stranger to Mindset Mastery Moments. You've heard her here before. But before I introduce my co-host, today we're diving into a powerful conversation for every woman navigating the corporate world and the workforce transition. We're talking about what happens when success collides with setbacks, when titles change, when doors closes, and when the unspoken grief woman carry in the workplace pops up. My guest is no stranger, as I said, to this specific thing. She is a career strategist and a grief coach. I'm talking about the one and only, if you're watching us by video, the gorgeous Laverne McKinnon, former senior vice president of the drama development at CBS, was at the top of her career overseeing one of the network's most successful years when suddenly her career took an unexpected turn. She went on to help launch Epix, produced a Netflix series called Girl Boss, and yes, today, she is an executive leadership coach, as I said, career strategist, and also a grief coach certified in grief recovery specialty. She now helps leaders and executives transform their career grief into resilience. Laverne, my dear sister and friend, welcome back today. We're so happy to have you on the show. I can't wait to dive into this topic with you.
Me too. And thank you so much for having me back. I so enjoyed our conversation. I felt like it went deep and wide, and I really appreciated you sharing your experiences about some of the setbacks that you've had in your career and how you've just wildly, successfully have created this business. So the theme of women and transition and entrepreneurs, it's right here for both of us.
It's both for both of us, and we've walked those journeys. And so we wanted to come back together and give you all some more insight and tools, and then share with you some of the things that Laverne's doing in her practice that may be of benefit to you as well. One of the things about Mindset Mastery Moments, as you all know, it is literally a labor of love that comes from our guest and from me as well. No one's paying us to do this. I can't pay these individuals, and their time is so precious. And so when they come back as a co-host on the show, it's for us to pour even more light in our area of expertise, in authenticity, with grit and conviction to really empower the next person listening. Laverne, here's something that I learned recently, and we were talking about this a little bit backstage. I want to talk about that right now in America, women make up almost 47% of the labor force. And women's participation rates are at record highs, yet only 29% of us hold C-suite positions. I'm going to say that again. Women make up 47% of the labor force, but only 29% of us hold C-suite positions. And despite this incredible progress, the gender pay gap is still there with systemic barriers, and it remains. We're not necessarily going to fight. I believe in knowing what you're up against and strategically planning to move through it. What this tells us, though, is women are present in the workforce, but not always positioned fairly in the climb or in the fall, so to speak. What can you tell us about your background in television at CBS and beyond, and how do you see these statistics playing out in real time for women in the corporate world as you do the work that you do as a career strategist?
Well, I was not aware of these recent statistics. Yeah, they're really mind-blowing. And I don't know if this is still true today, but this was probably back in 2020, right before the pandemic. I'd heard something similar, that women in C-suite peak in their mid-40s, while men in their C-suite roles peak in their mid-60s. This aligns with statistics that I was hearing 5 years ago that seem like the story is not changing dramatically.
Right.
Yes, so that while these numbers aren't reflecting the full capability that women have in upper management, senior management, like the contraction of those opportunities. And then also, combining that with being pushed out at a younger age than men do. For me, I peaked at executive vice president. I didn't quite make it into C-suite. And I worked in the entertainment industry for a couple decades, which it was interesting because my experience was that there were a lot of women who made it to the VP level in some manner. The C-suite was almost always reserved for men. And yes, there were absolutely, there are always, the outliers or, anomalies that we can point to. Which I feel like doesn't really represent the full story because, great, we're hearing about I'm just going to name drop some people from entertainment, the Donna Langleys of the world who have been at the head of Universal for a really, really long time. But then how many of Donna Langleys are there? So it's a big, and I'm curious if you've been hearing from your clients or experiencing this of, are women being pushed out or are we choosing to tap out because it's the challenges, the lack of support, et cetera, that I'm using the royal we here, that we're moving into becoming entrepreneurs.
Right. So I believe, I don't have the statistics on that, but I did get some numbers, but I don't want to misquote because they're saying that the numbers are so high in the number of women becoming entrepreneurs right now. And I don't have the number at my fingertips. I'm not going to play with it. But in my experience with clients and colleagues that I work with in my village and extended, there's a mixture of both. A lot of women are being subtly pushed out, not all the way pushed out, like laid off or fired necessarily, but they're like going through these level of burnout that is just like the corporate world is piling up, pushing, blaming, stressing. And so a lot of women that I'm talking to is like, I don't know how much of this I can do. I am not making any more money. It's a whole lot of stress, a lot of drama. I feel like I'm like on pins and needles. And I know I'm supposed to be doing blah, 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 and I cannot do it there ever. It's a little bit of that, but not this. I need to get out. And then there are women who are actually being laid off because when the budget cuts are coming down based on what programs they're in, I'm talking to quite a few who they're the first ones to get laid off. So I believe there's a good, healthy blend. I think that's a great question. And we would love to know what you all think. If you're watching this or listening, leave a comment. Let us know what you're hearing, what you're seeing. And of course, later on, we can I'm probably going to put the statistics in a newsletter on LinkedIn or something. But whether or not, this is why I believe for us, I wanted us to have the conversation as well, is understanding how you can, because here's the thing, like you did a couple of decades at CBS. So while you are successful in your business now and you're loving it, you had to go through the separation and what I would say the death and burial of that part of your life. So a lot of women that I'm talking to with one side are like, I can't do this anymore. I'm tired, but they're not letting go. And then the next time I talk to them, they either got fired or laid off or just pushed out where it's like they can't come back one way or the other.
Yeah.
They can't go back. So it's happening without their approval. I feel like the ones who are on pins and needles, knowing like they're at the end, I would tell them for their dignity and pride is to plan their end if they can, the best way they can. But tell us about that, because that career grief it can be the onset of a downward spiral that you never get back up and even step into entrepreneurship. And you're just too traumatized to even go work again for some women. Or even when you go to another job, you're just like, you're just afraid. You live in fear, so you're not healthy. You're going to the doctors. I've been there. I'm talking about, like, I did not realize how traumatized I was from an experience I had with a corporation for 3 years that led to me being quote unquote laid off or separated that when I went to the next position within a month, I was a basket case. I was shaking at the bouts of anything because I had not grieved. I pivoted and I just kept working because I'm like, I cannot ever be here again. I don't want to go back to working for anyone, but I had to. My business was not ready yet. So talk to the woman who's on probably, she could see it coming. She could feel it coming, whether she's going to get fired, she's going to get laid off, or she's going to have to quit. How can she really support herself right now in that spot? She's still at the job.
Yeah. Okay. Two thoughts here. The first is, as you were really painting an incredibly vivid picture with that scenario, which is that many women may be actually experiencing anticipatory grief, that they are sensing that something's coming down the pike, whether it will be of their choosing or not, but the circumstances and the environment have changed so significantly that the role that they have, what maybe brought them joy about it, or if they were really invested or passionate, that things have changed and they're going to continue to change so much that they're anticipating what's about to happen. And anticipatory grief is it's for me personally, and I've heard some of my clients talk about this, is it as that walking on eggshells type of feeling of just not being able to give oneself full permission to have the sadness, to feel really bad, because as human beings, we hope. So it's like, oh, maybe something can change. Maybe something will shift. Maybe I'm wrong. And that also like that sense of like holding one's breath. It's like, oh, is it today, like opening up the phone and looking at your emails? Is today the day I'm getting the email from HR? And I was once in a job where I knew I was going to be laid off. I knew I was going to be let go. And I did not get the phone call or the email for about 3 weeks. And I just remember every single day going into the office and I had so much difficulty focusing. It's like, how could I do my job properly if I'm thinking that I'm going to be losing my job? And then I remember I got a call on a Friday that said, oh, can you come in on Monday morning for, a 9 a.m. meeting with so-and-so, which was highly unusual. And I was like, that's it. This is when it's going to happen. And then I had to wait through the weekend. And then as a human being, I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, it's like I just came up with a lot of different scenarios. So I just want to acknowledge the anticipatory grief of the woman that you're describing who's still in a position, but the future is feeling really shaky.
Yeah.
And then a tool that I use with my clients is to take the concept of ROI, return on investment, that we usually look at from a financial perspective. Okay, what type of return on my financial investment am I going to get? And so this is a tool for the woman who is not certain whether she wants to stay, if she's been given the choice to stay, or is just going to, go on and on and on. You just never know, is to start to look at what is the return on my time, my energy, my talent, my skill, even like the cost of what is this job costing me in terms of the other things that are important to my life, friends, family, social, fitness, relaxation, rest, that type of thing. Because I think frequently as women, and I'm the sole breadwinner for my family, and I know many, many women who are either the primary or the sole breadwinner. So there's a lot of pressure of, okay, what's the financial return, which is absolutely important. I don't want to diminish it, but I think we also need to look at in making a decision of whether to stay in a company where the culture has shifted so much. Is this still a place where you want to stay because the return on your investment is significant enough?
That is powerful, sound guidance and advice because that is exactly what I'm saying. It's just weird that I just keep talking to more women in the last month or so about it. And so let's talk about, that's the grief portion. But what we're seeing too, what I'm hearing too, a lot of these women are saying, as I mentioned, I know that I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do that. And of course, they don't know where to start. And that's the business strategy piece that I have, but they don't feel empowered to do so. What kind of mindset shift can you give us that you and I probably would wish we would have known when we were out there climbing the corporate ladder.
Yes.
What we do now was inside our hearts. We wanted. Did you want to do sort of what you're doing now? What just wasn't clear what it would look like while you were in the corporate world, or did this come to you after?
My work as a coach came afterwards as a result, in many ways, from being fired from my job at CBS. And then because I struggled so much with the loss of identity, purpose, and belonging. And then I discovered there's this thing. It's like, first, I didn't know what a coach was. It's like the first time I heard about coaching. Yeah, I was like, I don't play sports. It's like I exercise, but I'm not an athlete. It's like, no, it's not that type of coach.
I'm not going to coach anybody, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But at the core of it, and I do think that I hope that this is relatable for your audience, which is my purpose in life has always been about helping other people across their finish line. I was a cheerleader in junior high and high school. And I was going
to say. Yes.
Yeah. And so I just was enamored with the entertainment industry, and I still am in many, many ways. But
yeah,
I just it was, well, I can't say it was like low hanging fruit because it was very difficult. Barriers to entry to entertainment were so high, but
so successful.
I followed that. And then I discovered, it's like I can actually manifest my purpose in so many different ways. Yeah. Alisa, I have to tell you, I am having an extraordinary journey over the last year or so, and I'm excited to share this with your audience.
Can't wait to hear it.
That I believe, and I'm going to get on a soapbox for a moment, that as women in America, as Western women, being raised in a capitalist society, that the values of a capitalist society were internalized by us. And so I know for me and for a lot of my friends and women that I work with is that they also share the internalized values of a capitalist society, which is about productivity, grinding away, not resting until, exactly, that we've deserved to rest because we have done so much. And at the heart of that is achievement. So achievement is external validation. Like we do something, we get a raise, we get a promotion, we get hired, and we're like, yes, I'm worthy, I'm valued. Accomplishment is the internal sense of pride and satisfaction of doing something that's aligned with our values, that it's irrelevant what anyone else thinks. Yes. And so I have been making a very concerted effort to literally chop the desire that I have for achievement and external validation, because that is me engaging with a capitalist perspective and culture that I actually don't align with. And so when I think about women in corporate America, which I was one of them, I bought it all, hook, line, and sinker. And every time I got promoted, I was like, yes, I'm on fire. I'm doing it. But what I was doing, I was actually supporting and pushing forward other people's dreams and goals. And and that was my satisfaction, was getting that external achievement. Accomplishment, and which is why I feel like so many women are looking at leaving C-suite or their corporate roles to go into business for themselves, is because it gives us the space for accomplishment.
Yes.
That we can feel really good about ourselves because our values are aligned with our in a way that reflect our purpose and the impact that we want to put out into the world.
This is so powerful. Whew, listen, we can shut it down now, because if you all just took what Laverne just shared and you did that, it will help you get clear about your ROI. It will put some fire on your bottom for why, if you do have a vision and a dream, to get behind it. Listen, it's funny because I have been somehow this week writing an article. I write newsletters for LinkedIn on my LinkedIn, and I've been back and forth on and off with the concept of external validation. And the thing I want to say is how sneaky it is. But you came in here like a wrecking bomb, my sister, and you completely crushed it. Because here's the thing, you are so absolutely on point, because what you did was give us a diagnosis of how we even got there. So you're like, look, this is how you're really fluffing things up in your world, and why a lot of things aren't working for you and you just feel really bad about yourself. But here's how you got here. It's not just you. There's a whole system that's built, right, to create the struggle you're in so that you can serve the goal that has been in place for quite a few decades, which is capitalism.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm just going to go way out on a limb here. You and I were chatting before we started recording.
Yes.
We're both like on 16 hours of a workday, which actually, like back in my corporate days, that working a 16-hour day was like nothing.
Normal.
These days, it's a little bit unusual for me, but what's wildly different is the consciousness of choice that I'm bringing into, I want to do this.
To do these 16 hours. It's not like I'm going. Oh my God, it's been 16 hours.
Yeah. And so is going to be upset with me, or I'm going to get pressure, of like, oh, I'm just like not cutting it. It's like in the competition and all of that. Mm-hmm. It's like, I think from our conversations, we're both so connected to the impact that we want to make and the stakes of that.
Yes.
It's so huge.
And but it's a freedom still. So we don't feel like I message you and I'm like, hey, can we push back half an hour? There's some crazy stuff happening in my calendar. And you're like, sure, I'll do that. Because you're not coming to something that doesn't align with you and your soul and what you're on this earth for. Otherwise, just say no. The thing I'm going to tell you for the women who are listening, if it does, don't even show up. That's me. I don't even show up. I'm not even agreeing to come. But if you, for some reason, I committed and I didn't know that it was, and I thought it was in alignment, but found out later, I did give my word, so I'm going to show up. But what you're not going to do is get an extra half hour out of me, right? If it's not like I already just got conned into this thing. And now you want more, don't do it, right? Because that's the level of freedom we give ourselves when we work from that place of accomplishment, which is internal value. Our core values, our true beliefs, and our purpose are all in alignment. And we're making these decisions in measurement with that so that when it does, we know. And that's that freedom and peace that I'm experiencing at, I would say, at about 80%. I'm not at 100 yet because there's still some kinks I'm working out. And I don't, want to say for you, but that's the point of, should I go? Should I stay? Or this has ended. What do I do next? We've gotten through where you've given us some grief strategy. Talk to us about career strategy after or while we're going through this grief, if we're still at the space where we don't know if it's ending or we have to end it.
Yes. I always go back to values, and when we're coming out of a situation or we're near the tail end of it, or maybe we're in the middle of it and we're just feeling like, oh, something's crunchy, something doesn't feel good in my body. To me, that's a sign to do a values audit, because our values are not chiseled in stone and they change with time, with new data, with experiences. And so I keep referencing my CBS job, but my values when I was in that job, they just aren't aligned with who I am today. And the idea of curiosity, compassion, courage, love, learning, laughter, those were not on my values radar at all back in my corporate days. It's like my values were about hard work, productivity. It's like, and I would say excellence, but excellence for me was a way to be very competitive, but put a nice spin on it. So conducting a values audit to be able to say, let me slow down and figure out what truly is important to me right now, and allowing that to be that North Star and that compass, because it will help you make a lot of difficult decisions. And I even encourage people to prioritize their values, because the hard truth is that our values do sometimes conflict with each other. And so having clarity of, in a moment when you're not in crisis and you can be really like grounded and clear of, okay, this is why this is a priority for me over something else, it'll make the decision making more easeful.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like the values audit is really just an important, like, I don't want to say easy because it requires some self-reflection, but it's low-hanging fruit.
The process. Yes, I am in alignment with that 100%. And that's, we talk about there's the values and then it's what you value. And they tend to sound the same, but they're not. What you value and your values. Now, your values, and I'm emphasizing that way, is freedom, love, peace, joy, the values. But then when you prioritize them, it will be what you value to bring that your values are present with. So what do I mean? Because I'm actually doing a tongue twister in real time. What do I mean to take what my sis said further is what she's saying is once you know your values, figure out what you do value now in this season, because your value and what you value is not static. Your values, joy, peace, they are not static either. We go through these different phases in our lives. And if you're going to be a corporate climber and you're going to become an entrepreneur, obviously your value system would have shifted. And I would say, Laverne, this is why a lot of relationships hit these pockets of like, are we going? Are we staying? I can't be friends with her anymore. I don't want to be your woman anymore. We go through that because values, they're not static. They change over time based on what we've learned, what we've experienced, whether it's through trauma or, joy, pain, whatever. We tend to shift those. And so that's why this audit is one of the, like you said, low-hanging fruits. This is one of the most simple things that is accessible to you, that you have control of, that you could clarify through this process of this career grief and figuring out where to go next. Because once you figure that out, I say your values it's the needle in your life's compass, right? Where when it moves, you move. So purpose is your big why, but the values is like the nucleus, that needle that is going to guide the process and what you do next. What are your thoughts on that?
100%. I was just like, I was so admiring what you were saying because you articulated that so beautifully. And yeah,
I only fed off of what you served, sis. We're playing tennis. Like you served like well. I'm just now piggybacking off of it because it's like some people would hear us and they would think, oh, is she saying that? No, not yesterday's values. She said the ones you have now. This is why she said an audit, because it's not the same.
So true. And then I'd love to offer up one other tool, I guess I would call it, is, in terms of transition, that any type of transition or change, it can be scary, anxiety provoking. It's definitely stressful. And I've witnessed a lot of women when they leave a corporate job, and especially if they're the primary or sole breadwinner, that there's a kind of panic that sets in. And I completely get it. I've been there. I've walked in those shoes. And so the inclination is to immediately look for the next job with the exact title. And I did that. It's like I was a creative executive and those were the jobs that I was looking for.
Yes.
And so we call that foveal vision, FOVEAL. And foveal vision is what you do like when you're reading. So your eyesight literally goes in with precision to be able to look at those specific words. So incredibly valuable. And so as a job hunter, you may be using foveal vision. I am a video editor. I can only find this job. I am a broadcast journalist. I'm only looking for broadcast jobs. What I like to encourage people to do is to use their peripheral vision. So rather than focusing your foveal vision on the job title, you're focusing your foveal vision on, I love to help people across their finish line. And so then when I use my peripheral vision and I start to widen the lens, I'm still focused on, I'm helping people across their finish line. But now it's like, oh, wait, I can do that as a creative executive. I can do that as a professor, well, wait, I can do that as a film and television producer. And I keep widening the lens. I can do this as a career strategist, as a leadership coach. I can do this in so many ways. And so I bring this up because in today's marketplace, a lot of jobs are just disappearing. Career lanes are being absorbed by artificial intelligence. There's market, there's like industries are contracting. And so by widening the lens and using your peripheral vision, you're going to see that there are so many more opportunities that are available to you that are based on your core skills, your values, your talents, and your purpose. And so don't get too hung up on that one single job title.
That is a huge tip and absolutely necessary. That is one of the hardest things why I believe that everyone should, no matter how great you are at writing your resume and all of that, is to have a sit down with a career coach or a career strategist. Both Laverne and I love to go by strategist because there is sort of a difference in strategy versus we do pay attention to trends and how it will affect different industries and things like that. But then we're going to help you with the roadmap and not just coach you through step by step a particular system. It's listening, hearing you, and looking at what's also affecting you on the outside of what you're doing. And it goes way deeper. I'm not doing such a great job explaining why strategist is different from coach, but we do use a coaching method as well. We do have that, but the strategy is so important. And that's where this thought process that she just shared with you, so important. So just, I don't think if you're out in the job market right now, I don't advise you to do it alone. I just don't. Because you don't even, I'm going to tell you, I'm a career strategist, but if I was looking for work, I'm going to call Laverne. And the reason, because I have blind spots on myself. While I would be able to see for someone else, there are some blind spots that I wouldn't catch for myself. So I'm going to go get on her calendar to say, hey, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm going. What is your take? And surrender to her leadership and her guidance in that and her expertise in that area, because I don't want to miss anything. Trust me, you can't, because again, I feel like the job market and the workforce is shifting rapidly. And I know you hear it all the time, and I'm not trying to, beat a dead horse, so to speak. I'm just saying that strategy is how you navigate it. You can't just be out here looking for a job. It's not going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's I think the most common mistake that I see job seekers make is that they focus immediately on resume, job applications, cover letters, and without the strategy and also the mindset component, it's just so critical to be able to access the resilience that's required to be able to go distance
through that
with
process.
a job search. Yeah.
Yes.
And then make the choices that are aligned so that you have sustained success. Now, I completely understand that there comes a point where it's like, I just have to take anything. I have bills to be paid, but you can make that from a place of empowerment and values as opposed to throwing in the towel and feeling like you failed. It's like, I'm going to take this job as a stepping stone so I can just stabilize my finances.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then, but this isn't the end game. This is simply a stepping stone. I think about this as like when I worked at McDonald's to help me pay for college. It's like McDonald's was not the end game. I wasn't going to be flipping burgers the rest of my life, but I knew I could do it because it was like, this is just a bridge to get me to the time when I can actually graduate from college. And then I can use that degree as my next my next tool to get me to my next.
And that's a career plan. That's a career plan, and everyone should have one. And it's not an option. This is why I meet so many people in their 40s with a master's degree that they don't even remember why they got it in the first place. They don't know what they want to be when they grow up. They've just been being what they've been for the last 20 years. And it was paying them pretty decent or good enough to keep everything going. And they just keep thinking after the kids graduate, when I get this other degree. and they kept putting it off because they didn't have a career plan. I feel like the youths, if you're listening to us and you are in college right now, you are at the right chance to go do that. And if you've been laid off or you're retired, whatever that looks like, and you still need the work, you too should have a career plan. And a career plan is not a career goal. A career plan is not a career goal. A career goal is when I graduate, I want to be an attorney or whatever that looks like, or I want to be the manager of all the Macy's across the country. That's a career goal. But a plan is, how do I go from where I am right now to there? Different. And that's where strategists come in, because the forecasting of what's happening in the career industry is even there going to be a role for someone to be the manager or the area manager of all the Macy's, or will that be a computer or what? We don't know,
Yes.
But a career strategist, with the work that's available, you can look, and maybe there is another 5 years for those positions. So you might be able to do it. But what's your other plan if it's not there, which is what you need to have? Let's talk to the woman who now, while she's still on the fence, does have that dream and vision of possibly owning her own business, whether it's a flower shop, a coffee shop, a coaching practice, maybe a speaking career, or opening her own preschool. Let's talk into her about, while she still has to work like you did at McDonald's and I did at so many other things, what kind of mindset can that look like to approach one day stepping into this space, and why it's important for her to actually start now working on it?
I had a business coach that told me fast is slow, slow is fast. And I've made this mistake. I think this is the fourth or fifth business that I've started. my first business as a coach, but I had 4 different businesses when I was in the entertainment industry as an entrepreneur. And I think the fifth time I finally learned this lesson, which is that we can't speed it up. We can't do everything all at once. And then this goes back to capitalist society, because we've been told that we can if we just work harder and smarter. And that is an absolute mistaken belief. It's like leads to burnout, and then we fry ourselves. And so, and I know this is going to sound counterintuitive, but I've had my coaching business for over 10 years, but it's only in the last 2 years that I have devoted like 95% of my professional time. Yeah. So I took almost 8 years. And I also do not like the word side hustle, because even though it wasn't my primary job, I was still like devoted,
nothing
committed.
side about it. That was 40 hours for the man, 80 hours for that is not a side hustle. That's a full-time relationship.
It completely is.
Seeing you 10 hours a week, we are married. Hello. So That is nothing side hustle about that. And I do spend more than 10 hours on my vision and my personal goals. So yeah, it's a full-time thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, I mean, this might not align for everybody, but I'm just like a big advocate of letting things, staying engaged and detached, because these things just take time. So like I even remember, my business is an LLC, and that costs like $1,200 to set up the paperwork and all of that for it. But I had to budget for that. And so it took me time to be able to set aside the $1,200. If coaching at the time, 10 years ago, was my only job, the stress and the anxiety around trying to make these things happen,
figuring out
to
where
be able to pay
clients.
my bills.
Yeah.
Yes. And then also, at least in terms of my pivot, it required a lot of training, certifications. So I had to give myself the space and time to be able to. Exactly. And while I'm a big believer of learning on the job, I also was like, I just need to give myself some space. And so I just really like being able to, when it's within our control, to be able to dial down anxiety and stress as much as possible. So then I have clear head, and I can make good choices for myself to say, okay, do I need the LLC right now? Can I wait 6 months or a year so that I can actually invest more in my training? And so I can start to evaluate and make those like smarter decisions for the health of my business and for my own physical and mental and spiritual well-being.
Yes. first, because you can't pour from an empty cup. If you're burnt out and fried, how are you really going to coach anyone, really, truly? And I love that. I just had a conversation with Katrina Farrell from Australia here on the podcast. And we were talking about, with all the commercials that are targeted, coach, are you not making less than 6 figures a month? Or you should get this funnel? Or why are you only making less than 10,000 a month? Okay, so first of all, if you're making 10,000 off your coaching practice, please go ahead and go. You can go get your favorite glass of wine or whatever and just dance. Okay? Don't let these people tell you nonsense, because somehow people trust you to put that much money in your hands and look at what you have to offer as valuable. You can get to 100K, but it doesn't have to be now. Honestly, if someone would even let you coach them for free.
Yeah.
It's a great start.
And I also, yes. And I just say, and that's that, to me, it's like, that's that capitalist vibe again. It's like, there's something wrong with you if you're not making X number of dollars per month. And so it's, there's a book I read years ago that I really loved it's by Lynn Twist. And it's about people's relationship with money and the idea of sufficiency. And so for me, this goes right along with accomplishment, which is, do I need to be making, $500,000 a year? I don't know. I mean, maybe it would be nice, but it's like, I don't. I just need enough money to make my life sufficient. And so,
yes.
And then if I buy into this idea of like, oh, I should be making X number of dollars per month, that puts me right back into the grind. And I'm like, whose values am I living?
And you don't, let me tell you, Laverne, I have had people on the podcast or people I've met that make millions of dollars with their coaching or their businesses that are like ours, but they're also spending more than that million they're making because Meta takes 10,000 in ads a month. They've got to pay the funnel guy, this tech guy, and that person who gives the app, and they're paying all this stuff, and they just want out, man. Because they're actually, well, now you're bringing in 1 million, but to keep that coming, you have to spend 1.2. So you actually owe more people than you make, because you're going to need a team to scale that and run that of all these different things. You're advertising more. So again, we're not saying don't go after 1 million in your business, but understand why you're doing it. Are you doing it for external validation?
Yes, exactly.
Ask yourself.
Yeah. Or is it like, oh, that inner compass that's saying, okay, this is that sense of accomplishment. Yeah, I'm 100% with you.
I don't get paid to be on the podcast. You don't get paid to be on the podcast. But we walk away from the experience feeling like if just one person listened and experienced a change from being in a career grief, from feeling like they can't make it through, to having some semblance of hope to push to the next day, to reach out and make a phone call and get with a coach or a strategist to move through, like this becomes a catalyst for one person to experience change and break through, we would have done our job and we could sleep, and we are going to sleep very well, because you know what? At the end of the day, we still have a roof overhead. We have food. And honestly, it sounds so basic, but what happened in 2020 when we had everything shut down? Where did we all go back to? We were fighting, not me or Laverne, for toilet paper. And for me, who came from a third world country where I've used the leaves in the jungle when I'm walking around, because we went out like walking, we didn't have the toilet paper. Someone forgot to bring it. We used the leaf to wipe our bottoms. TMI, and we have washed our bottoms and all the stuff. And so we were laughing because we're from a third world country where toilet paper wasn't always there and we use other things. So we were like, what? They really think they're going to die if they don't get toilet paper? But they did, because that's what they're used to. And so while we were laughing, it was needed, but it still was, it was so basic that toilet paper was a fight. No one was fighting for jobs. No one was fighting for money. We were fighting for toilet paper. We were taking all the water out the stores. Eggs went through the roof. It was still food, clothing, and shelter, and being safe is what we all were fighting for. Survival. So when we start thinking about $1 million, the question is like, do I really need $500,000? It would be nice, but I don't need it. She knows how much she needs to keep her economy and her family going, and so do I. And honey, it is no way close to $500,000. We would still be able to go on 3 vacations a year with what I know it would, what a good reasonable goal that wouldn't cost me to sell my soul to the devil or be miserable and do things with people I don't like, be in places I don't want to be. I don't have to do any of that. And so you have to decide again, like Laverne taught us, what do you value now? Not yesterday. Because we're not telling you what you valued 10 years ago or 5 days ago was wrong. We're just saying now, what do you value? It might be different. And that's what's causing the stress and the disease in yourself, because you're trying to bring yesterday's values that work for yesterday into today's reality, which is different. The possibility of not having a job changes the position you've had, and the same pay changes everything, right? I know you have something to drop in there, Laverne.
I'm like, yes. And yes. And then just circling back to the acknowledgement that our communities, the companies that we work with, that their values get infused into us. So doing that values audit, it's just clarifying, is this my value, or is this a value that I inherited or I internalized because that's what I was exposed to? And yeah, and I really appreciated what you said too, just in terms of like, and I use the word grumpy, it's like, if you're feeling grumpy, if you're feeling dis-ease, that's a sign to slow things down and to do that values audit, because values are being stepped on either by you, by someone else, by a situation. And we step on our own values all the time. So
we do. And be patient with yourself, because sometimes you're still acclimating to your new values, and because there'll be pushback from the outside. When you start getting clear about what you value and how you want to show up, people who are not used to you valuing things or valuing that way, or valuing what you're valuing, how you're valuing it, you get pushback. So you first of all have to be so clear and convinced and in your conviction that this is what I value. And I respect and understand that Laverne does not value it. And she likes when I value, it was more beneficial to Laverne when I valued this way. But that's all that's happening here. And you know what? If it's meant to be, it's up to me. So I'm going to walk in my truth and authenticity. Laverne, I teach in my brand that transition is not a pause. It's part of the process. Because a lot of times we look at it like everything is on hold until. It's just part of the process. It's not like this. We tend to look at it like it's a bump in the road, but if we do that, then we tend to like, how quickly can I get over this bump? How quickly can this be not part of where I am traveling? But if you understand that it's part of the process, then you go, I'm at a bump. What can I learn from this situation? What can I learn from being in this rock and a hard place? What is life teaching me? What new skills am I going to gain? How much more fortified can I become in who I am and what my true desires are, is what I say. So I believe you don't have to wait until everything is healed or perfect to start building again. But clarity is what we're saying is necessary so that you're building from the right foundation, which is you, your values, your purpose, and who you're becoming. So one thing that you said, Laverne, is it doesn't have to be all now. So when we talk about building while you work, we're not saying, oh, go get a brand, start building, jump on YouTube and make 10 videos a month. We're not saying that. What we're saying is acknowledge that you do have a burning desire for something different than what you have, and that you have a vision that might be in the future, but it's okay to welcome it now. And I would say, see what parts of it you can explore and participate in with overwhelm, without stress, without a funnel, without doing a whole bunch. Sometimes it's just getting in a community with other women that are learning this process. Maybe if it's a coffee shop, maybe it's spending time looking up how many women in your community started a coffee shop and reach out and going over there and having coffee and saying, hey, can I get do you have a moment? I'd love to find out how you came about. What did it truly look like? And I promise you, sometimes you just do that and you're like, yeah, I thought I can do this next year, but this is looking more like a 3-year thing, which is what Laverne says. It takes time, but having a strategy and a plan in place and knowing how much you can engage over time and making a space and room to just dreaming is so valuable. When you allow yourself the space to dream and then maybe sitting with a career strategist like Laverne or myself, because I believe a business is a part of your career. It's still all career.
Yes.
That's why I feel like it's redundant when I say career, life, and business strategy. There's no career without you, which that's your life. And there's no business without it being part of you and who you are as a person. And then it becoming a career, because that's what Laverne was saying. Her building her brand while she was in corporate or building businesses was not a side hustle. This thing was real. So talk to us about that and what your thoughts are on building while you work.
Well, you mentioned transition. And so building while you work, it's initiating the transition. And what's inherent in transition are two things. One is it's human. We are constantly transitioning and it's part of what makes us human. So resisting transition is just resisting who we naturally are. Our second point with transition is to be aware that it frequently puts us into a beginner's mindset. And that can be wildly uncomfortable for people because transitions oftentimes bring new ideas, fresh opportunities. You're starting something new or you're re-engaging with something potentially that you had been interested earlier in your life and you're pulling it back again. And so that being pushed into a beginner's mindset, that sometimes that is scary to people because they feel disconnected from, oh, wait a second, I was an expert and now I'm transitioning to this new thing and now I have to be a beginner, and it can impact their confidence and their esteem. And so what I think is really important and what I had to remind myself of constantly when I was transitioning into becoming a solopreneur a couple of different times is that there's a learning curve. And yes, it's like I had to learn about like filing for an LLC. I didn't know anything about that. And it's like, and I made some mistakes and some of them cost me money. So, and so I think knowing that as one goes into the transitionary period is that that there will be bumps, there will be mistakes, there are things that you're going to have to learn. And so embracing that and knowing that you're actually built to learn. As human beings, we are built to learn. So this is just an opportunity for your learning muscles to get to show off.
Yes. I love that analogy. That makes that sets so well in my spirit. Building the muscle. I love that. Oh, listen, disruptors, you guys we're pouring from, we did not plan or script this. We just had an idea of what we wanted to talk about. But I really want you to think of all of it as part of who you are, what you are. If you're going to build while you work, to really have a strategy behind it. Don't I love how Laverne opened this up about this capitalist mindset, especially for us who live in the Western world as women. And here's a question I'm going to throw at you. And I'm probably going to keep asking it on the podcast just as much as I ask, what is success? Can women have it all, Laverne? What's your answer to that question? Can women have it all?
I'm going to give you two different answers. One is I had been told that I couldn't have it all and that I would have to make choices. And I really resented that. So I was like, I'm going to prove that I can have it all. And And I believe that today, but from a different perspective. So earlier in my career, I would have it all, but I would have it all from a capitalist society perspective. And I was grinding and working and it's just like when I reflect back on it, I get a little frustrated with myself because again, I bought everything hook, line, and sinker. Today, when I think about as a woman, can I have it all? Yes, because I get to define what success means to me.
And what all means, right?
Exactly. Where before I was doing it through a capitalist perspective. And so while it wasn't my all, it was their all.
Exactly. Yes.
Today I can have it all on my terms because I get to define them.
Right. I love that answer. And mine has been, I guess, if I thought about what in the capitalist term of having it all, if it was a yes or no, I couldn't give you a yes or no. There's no black or white because I believe that we can. I guess one of my answers became, and I did have this at a conference I spoke at, I said, first of all, as a woman, determine what all means for you before you even answer that. And then secondly is I feel like we can't have it all, but a lot of times when we think of having it all is doing it on my own.
That's such a great insight. Yes.
So
Say
even though
more,
we want, right? We want a husband. So we got one, but we don't engage and partner with him to build all. We still want to be the boss lady and have all the things. So we tend to get involved in a relationship where that man either doesn't contribute much, don't care much, or he's just over there doing his thing while you're figuring out your thing. But then you're missing emotional connection, and there's all these different types of toxicity happen in that relationship. But when you step out as a couple, you're a power couple, right? So on paper, you have it all because you guys are successful financially in your careers and you make money. You have a beautiful house. You have adorable children who are going to great schools. They're doing well in school. So I'm a successful, woman who owns a great salon chain in California and a couple in Dallas, Texas. And my husband, he works for Boeing as an executive. So can we have it all on paper? But that woman, her husband, she doesn't see him very often. You see them on red carpet events. You see them in photos, and Christmas times they're sending the most beautiful Christmas card. They have a boy and a girl and everything. She has it all. That's the definition of all. But inside, she feels like she hits about 45 and she's kind of empty and dissatisfied. Baby girl, you did not get all. You got all of what they told you can get. You are still being controlled and manipulated by the narrative. So for me, is define what all is. So I say you can have it all, but not all at the same time. If you're going to do it in a way that is right with you. Because for me, and I guess again, I can only speak for me, having it all means that I have peace, love, joy, freedom, which means I get to choose who I want to be with, when I want to be with, how I want to be with them, where I want to be with them. That's freedom for me. And so am I going to just be in a relationship with any man? No, but it's not just because I don't have a man doesn't mean I won't be a successful entrepreneur or an impactful woman. So right now I don't have a husband, but I still feel like I have it all, even though the zeros in my bank account are not where it could be to do some of the things I want to do in the world. I still believe I have it all because I do have my values. I do have peace. So can women have it all is not a black and white yes or no answer. Yes. I would say my tip is to pour some of the considerations I've put in there. And then at the end of it, scramble it all together and redefine what all it is, what all is for you and why all might mean this for you in your 40s, like throw all this crap away. I don't want none of it. You can have the house. You could even have this husband and the dogs. And listen, if these children don't graduate and get to college soon, I'm going to throw them out too, because I've had enough of being what they told me was going to make me happy when I was it. Because here's the thing, one little mini failure. I remember when I separated and went on to divorce from my ex-husband, I was such an idealized woman in many places and spaces that for me, I knew that somehow I was being approached as a letdown by so many people who I trusted. And if it's one thing that separation and divorce taught me is how much I placed on what other people thought. The reason my marriage lasted as long as it did, it was because I did not want to be a failure. And I was literally holding it all together anyway. All I needed was the kids and it would be perfect. Again, capitalist mindset. Again, external validation.
Yes.
I went a little radical for a small bit of space where I was anti everything I believed in and questioned it. But I needed to question it because was it truly mine? And then I revert back to what was truly mine and kept clarifying that it didn't happen overnight, boys and girls, if you're listening in class. Didn't happen. It took time and I revisited. That's why I love the terminology you use, Laverne, which is reevaluate my values. Is that what you said? Something
Audit.
close. Auditing,
yes,
because you're still, and again, we're not telling you to kick off against the world and hate the world and they did this to us. That will not help you. Is understand, get your locator and say, where am I right now with it? And do the audit and take it from there. Because here's the thing. Everybody wants all these things, but I'm going to tell you, we don't need it.
Yeah. I remember the name of the Lynn Twist book. It's called The Soul of Money. And
the soul of money.
Yes, because for a long time, I thought that one of my values was abundance. And then I started to recognize it doesn't feel good to me. And then I came across this book and it was like, oh, what feels good to me is to have enough. I don't need more. I just need enough.
Right.
Actually, it's like
and
with
we're
my
condemned
career.
about that in this new world of abundance and the law of attraction. There's a condemnation to, like, I would say that, Laverne. I tell people, I said, I only need about $250,000 to live in the lap of luxury, of what luxury is for me. A year.
Yeah.
I only need about 250. I don't have kids. I don't have pets. It's just me. So I will see the world at that rate. I will travel every month at that rate. I already did the math. So making millions is not necessary for me. That's only to stress me out. Yeah.
Yeah. And this goes back to the planning and the career strategy is that when we get clearer on our values, then we know how to build the plan to honor and support those values. So it's like, exactly, because I could be working my ass off and then be like, oh, because externally I need to make millions of dollars in order to
I want this Lamborghini.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and that's achievement. And again, I don't want to judge other people's values. I think what we're circling here is just like, again, of just like being really clear. Are these your values or not? And then once once I realized it's like, that's not what I actually want. I just want enough. It changed my relationship with my career because I wasn't trying to squeeze all of this money out of my career and then putting so much pressure on myself and then feeling really bad when I wasn't meeting those financial goals.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was impacting my lifestyle and my self-view in a really awful way. And now it's like, I'm clear. I know it's like my numbers are clear because they reflect my values.
Yes. And that goes for everything. Like for me, after being married for 17 years and then going through divorce, I didn't want to become the person who was jaded because that didn't work out. And so I was like, oh, there's going to be a man. I'll get married someday, blah, blah, blah. I'm married to my love of my life. And then like 2 years later, I was like, I heard myself say to myself, do you really want to be married again? Is that even what you want? Well, clearly I didn't, because 5 years later, some dude proposed to me and I accepted. And then I was like, no. And some people were like, you were engaged? Yeah. He went down on one knee and I said yes, because he did it in front of a bunch of people and I felt pressured. So I said yes. And then I said no, because I was now getting in a space where authenticity was important. I was like, I don't want this. And then 1 year after that, I heard myself say, marriage is not of value for you right now. It's not something you truly want. You just want it because you're expected to, and because the religious world you're from says that but you don't want that. And that's okay, Alisa. And if you change your mind tomorrow, that'll be okay too. So I remember removing that pressure, because honestly, if you're dating under the pressure to get married, you'll marry anyone or anything. Honestly, I just want to tell you that. The same as if you're being pressured to make $100,000, then you will take any job and be anything in that job because it's giving you 100,000. So you're not first in your own world. Someone else's opinion of you is. And that's a problem. So we don't want to judge you. We're just saying, check it out. Check it out, dudettes, guys and dolls. Is it truly you speaking, or is it all the autopilot you're being driven by? And once you connect with that, if $1 million is your thing and a Lamborghini is your thing, go for it. But then you won't be mad or sad when it's taking longer to get there, or someone gets in your way of it. You won't, you know what I'm saying? It would just be like, okay, I need to pivot and move differently and do something differently to accomplish it. And you'll be at peace. You'll be enjoying the journey to that 1 million. You won't be dreading it. You know what I'm saying? So that's my take.
It's going to feel fulfilling as opposed to hollow or empty. Yeah, absolutely.
This is some deep stuff. Y'all can't pay us for this. We're going to wrap it up because Laverne and I have to go to bed. It's getting late on the West Coast. So Laverne, I have one other thing to ask you before we talk about some of the exciting things we're doing in our world as a career strategist and business strategist. What does real support look like for women leaders in transition? How would you define it?
Real support. I got to say something sort of wacky here.
Go for it.
Women. I love women so much because we are extraordinary creatures.
Yes.
Are wildly creative. And I have witnessed over and over and over again that when we as women receive and accept the challenges, the problems, the issues of the world, and we can slow down long enough, we get really creative on how to solve, address those problems. Mm-hmm. And so the support that I believe that women in transition need is a safe space in which to speak their truth, tap into their wisdom, speak in first drafts, have a discovery process. And whether that's with your bestie who just knows how to hold space, whether it's with a career strategist, a business coach, a therapist, a workshop, journaling just with yourself. But the support for me is really about creating that space, that dedicated time and space for women to be able to deeply listen to themselves and what's happening in the world so that they can get wildly creative about how they want to show up and the impact that they want to make. I believe that when women are given, that support and that space, we can do anything.
Unstoppable, unlimited, limitless. I love it. I ditto. I don't even have to add or subtract anything to that. I ditto that 100% is exactly. And I would say as a woman, if you're listening, even while you're going through, become the woman who creates the space. Maybe it's a Zoom call with some of the women that you know. Maybe it's coffee at a coffee shop. Maybe it's just a hangout in your backyard. Whatever that looks like, sometimes if you show up and become the thing you need, you get surprised. You get surprised of what that all comes. That's all I have to say. What that all comes full circle for you for. Laverne, what do you have going on over at LaverneMcKinnon.com? What do you have? Tell us what you've been up to and how are things going? What you got? Any events or anything new?
Well, I want to do I don't know if it's a humble brag or just a brag, but I want to share that.
No humbleness, go all out, bold and sassy too.
And this goes to planning and planning our careers, because
yes,
I, this year, 2025, earned the highest level of accreditation as a coach, which is the Master Certified Coach designation from the International Coaching Federation. And only 3% of coaches worldwide have an MCC. And
congratulations.
Thank you. When I first started training as a coach over 10 years ago, and I learned about these, like the different levels of credit, I was like, I want to be that highest level of coach. Back then, it was because I was driven towards achievement. And then over time, it switched. And I was like, I want that sense of accomplishment. I want to be challenged, and I want to really like learn and grow. So I'm really proud of myself for the MCC.
I am proud of you as well.
Thank you. So in 2026, I'm running with that MCC, and I'm going to be expanding my group offerings to be able to support people who are in transition, especially around the grief work, the career grief work. And so I would love to encourage any listeners to go to my website, LaverneMcKinnon.com, check out the groups for 2026. And then secondly, if I could just give one other little push, which is we talked a lot about values and doing a values audit. I do have a Substack, and if people would like to have a workbook to help them do a values audit, just sign up for my Substack, Laverne McKinnon. I also go my Moonshot Mentor on Substack, and you will get a values workbook to help you with audit.
Absolutely. And we, of course, will have that in the link description wherever you're listening or watching this. And then there's also, if you go to the website, mindsetmasterymoments.com, you'll also find the previous episode where Laverne and I talked about her career and her own journey of navigating career grief and her transition from, I say Hollywood just easily, but she was in the television and industry and did amazing work in that chapter of her life, and that all that transition has brought her. So she's just an amazing woman that I love. She's part of my network, and I would say part of my village, and she will pop back in here whenever she and I have the time to get on here. But I would love for you to connect with her and let her know you heard this episode. I can't wait to hear this episode, because we talked about so many things that are really current and real for our time and what women are working through. And I would say women are winning through, because I speak it as I see it. And so a lot of times we say getting through or going through, but I will say winning through, because as long as you keep going through with the right strategy and support systems, you are going to win. And that's why you found this episode, whether you're watching it on YouTube or you just got the snippet here, is to go listen to the whole thing. Connect with Laverne at LaverneMcKinnon.com. On my end, I just launched a school community for individuals who are building while they work. That will help you with clarifying purpose and shifting and getting your right mindset and understanding and building at a pace that is right for you, but strategically. And I say also, the thing I add is on a very small budget, having the expertise. You're going to have me, and then sometimes you might even see Laverne pop in there and give you some strategy. But the goal is to have a village where we can help you build together. I would say flow and glow, because here's the thing, you can't get a flow until you clean out the pipes. So understanding how to get through limiting beliefs, how to create a schedule, how to create a plan. I call it a life plan that will encompass your vision. And we call it Dream Builders Think Tank. I'm tongue-tied. I keep telling y'all, but you believe it. Dream Builders Think Tank, and it's where visionaries become doers. You just don't dream about it, you do it. And there's a pace. And that's one thing I hope you heard from us today, is there's a pace. And there is, unfortunately, I have to tell you, a right way to go about building your vision. So connect with us on whatever level you need to work on. All the link is in there for Laverne, and you all know where to find me. We really love that you listen to this. Let us know what your thoughts are. Chime in. And if you would love to hear Laverne and I talk some more about this area, just tell us what you want to hear on this space, and we'll come back as soon as we can, because we have people we serve and we got lives, but we will hop back in here and address some of those questions or topics as soon as we can. Laverne, is there anything else you wanted to add before we go?
You are so inspiring. I wish that your program was available 15 years ago, 10 years ago when I was starting to make my transition, because you're so right. I went down so many paths and wasted so much time. I'm in a mastermind right now because I have a different business coach that I'm working with. As soon as I started working with business coaches and coaches, it's like things and I loved what you said about like the flow and glow. Yeah. It just like cleared out all this gunk and wow, I'm so excited for your program.
And now you have a flow and you glow up. You glow up. You literally do. Like I'm going to tell you, when you're in the right space with the right people for you, you glow up, and it's really, you can see it from the inside out. It doesn't hide on the outside. You just look different. You're more confident. You articulate. I'm sitting here watching from our nonprofit end. You talk about starting an LLC. This year we did Mindset Mastery 360 as a nonprofit. And in that space, everything we do is we pour into people. This podcast is a big catalyst for them. But I'm watching so many of the youths writing books. They're on camera, sharing their message. And we didn't give them any formal coaching or anything, but by just providing a space for them to dream and organize their vision. And then they're just mentorship, because they're looking at the rest of us. They're learning from these episodes, and they're just going out there and doing what they can, no matter where they're in Africa, they're in India. And I'm like, and they're crediting us for this. And I'm like, we haven't even started fully training you all with the curriculum we have, because we're waiting for it to get licensed. But the point is, if you just show up and be the best version of you and offer what you have in your hand, results will be had. And that's all you're responsible for. And that's what we came to do. And we're getting off here. It's LaverneMcKinnon.com, moonshotmentor.substack.com. It's in the description. Go check her out and connect with her. I'm promising you, get a career strategy, even if you still have a job, but you know there's more in your life. Get a career strategy. It's important. All right, guys, we're going to say goodbye. As always, keep mastering your mindset. Think, speak, do, become. I'm Dr. Alisa with my co-host, Laverne, saying we will see you next time. Bye now.